Welcome to Rainy Day Rabbit Holes, where we take the history of the West off the rails.
If you like your history unhinged, you are in the right place.
I'm Shea.
And I'm Jody.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
All right, Shea, hopefully your little bunny paws are ready to go down a rabbit hole because today we're talking about a Seattle icon who has equal parts chaos, comedy, and questionable hygiene. If you grew up in the Pacific Northwest between the late 50s and the early 80s, you lived in a world that included JP Patches.
Okay, at first I was thinking you were talking about like one of our mayors from the 1800s.
Oh, yeah, no.
Questionable hygiene.
Let's clarify. If you grew up in the late 1950s to the early 1980s, so you grew up in a world that included JP Patches, or you lived under a rock because he was one of 7 shows that were on television at the time. Quick quiz for you.
Okay.
This is a quiz that things you're going to find out during the episode.
Okay.
Before becoming JP Patches, Chris Weeds, his real name,
oh boy,
originally played a different clown character on a television show in which U.S. city? Chicago, Minneapolis, Portland, or Denver?
Okay, here's the weird thing is I was going to shout out Minneapolis. Just, I don't know why. I know nothing about this person.
Oh,
but
okay.
I was going to just, without you giving me any choices,
Oh,
I was
really?
just going to start yelling out cities, and Minneapolis was the very first
And
one.
it's right.
Is it really?
Oh my gosh. Do you think he's here with us?
Am
And
I,
he's like,
or am I just psychic?
yeah, that's what yes. You're like a medium. Yeah. Or you're psychic. Yeah. True or false? The statue of JP Patches in downtown Seattle called Late for the Interurban is an official landmark.
Oh, I would say probably true.
It is false, but all of us want it to be true. Should we petition?
We should.
Rainy Day Rabbit Holes is going to petition to make it an actual official landmark.
I like that. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's write a letter to the mayor.
JP Patches was Seattle's answer to the local kids' TV host craze, except instead of a polished, well-scripted educational show, this guy was basically a sleep-deprived circus escapee broadcasting from a junkyard. And Seattle loved him for it. But before he was the beloved clown of every Gen X kid's dreams, because this was before Stephen King's ruined clowns for everyone. He was just a regular guy named Chris Weeds. And his journey to becoming a beloved, grungy Pacific Northwest legend is honestly a bit of a circus. So let's dig in.
But a bum bum. And I just imagine him as like looking like an alcoholic that just woke up off a bender. Like 5 o'clock shadow and bags under his eyes, and then he just like slaps on some white paint and
Acts a fool and gets paid.
So my mom's best friend, Eileen, used to collect these figurines that were of like hobo clowns. I'm sorry to use the word hobo, but that's what they were. Is basically they were painted up like clowns, but they were all ragged and hobo looking, and they'd be leaning against like a pole that had a clock on top. So they were...
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them were, do you know, have you seen those?
Mm-hmm.
She had dozens of them in her house.
That's a bit creepy.
Creep me out, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that would creep me out even before it.
Yeah.
From Stephen King.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the 1950s is way before clowns became a scary thing.
Yeah.
People still liked clowns and wanted clowns to be at their parties and stuff like that. Yeah.
Before he was JP Patches, Chris Weeds was just a nice Midwestern boy in St. Paul, Minnesota in 1928. His parents were Greek immigrants, and like many kids of the generation, he grew up knowing how to hustle. We love hustlers on this show. We do love
hustlers, yeah. Get it?
They make good stories.
Absolutely.
He went to the University of Minnesota and at some point caught the performance bug. He had worked at a local TV station and behind the scenes roles. And he was just the kind of guy that would jump in and help at any time. And they needed somebody to fill some character roles. And he started to do some acting. The studio started to notice how popular he was with kids. And by the early 1950s, he had landed the gig as a clown on the Joe the Cook show in Minneapolis.
Joe the Cook show. Huh?
And he has, he's got the white chef gear and the chef hat and the Chef Boyardee little mustache is kind of his costume.
Cute.
I feel like that's where Chef Boyardee got their little character. I'm probably wrong, but in my mind.
Or they stole it from Chef Boyardee. Who knows?
Who knows? We'd have to look up who was first. Early 50s could be. Now, this was the golden age of live television, which basically meant we have $5 and a camera. Good luck. So Weeds did what any up-and-coming performer would do, and he put on a goofy suit, smeared on some grease paint, and hoped for the best. And it worked. In 1953, when Seattle's Cairo TV was looking for a children's show host, someone said, "Hey, this guy already owns a clown suit. Let's hire him." They did. Somebody had happened to be in Minneapolis and saw him on TV. And then when they were looking for a kid's character, he remembered that, recalled that, and reached out. And here we are. And just like that, J.P. Patches was born. J.P. Patches, short for Julius Piermont Patches, because nothing says fun for kids like a 19th century banker's name, hit Seattle's airwaves in 1958 and ran for a mind-boggling 23 years.
Oh, wow.
Just off-the-cuff kind of show. 23 years. It aired in 1958 on February 10th. So JP Patches the show and I share a birthday.
Aw, happy birthday. I forgot your birthday present. I left it on. I was getting all the dog stuff out.
It's fine.
I'm sorry. Happy birthday.
Thank you. So it ran for a mind-boggling 23 years, and that's over 12,000 episodes.
Wow.
Let that sink in. Today's shows barely last 23 minutes before they get canceled, especially kids shows. And this man kept it going for nearly a quarter of a century. It was live TV that aired twice a day, and if my parents are listening, I have a bone to pick.
What's that?
I didn't watch it twice a day. I only watched it once a day.
Oh, they could have.
They were hiding it from me.
They were hiding JP Patches from you. So you went on twice a day.
Twice a day, live.
Oh wow! So morning, like before school, and then after school.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I'm sure I didn't watch it before school. The setup was simple. JP Patches was the mayor of the city dump, a magical, trash-filled wonderland where he interacted with an ever-growing cast of weirdos. It was live, mostly unscripted show where Weeds had to improvise constantly. So basically the 1950s version of a Twitch stream or a TikTok stream, but with more asbestos.
Oh gosh, yeah.
My favorite part of that show, I remember just being in the junkyard and just looking. I was focused on every little thing behind him or in the room. Like I was just so curious, fascinated.
So they did a good job with the set dressing. I've never seen this show.
Oh, you have not?
No, I know nothing about this character.
Well, I was kind of thinking you were really young when it went out in 81. Like, were you watching TV by 81?
Yeah, 81.
Yeah,
probably.
You would have.
I mean, we didn't do a lot of TV watching when I was little.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it would have been like Mr. Rogers and Sesame Street.
Well, these all played together, one after the other on the same channel. So I'm surprised
I mean,
you didn't see it.
It's possible I saw it, but do you think I remember anything from when I was three years old?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You're way too young. Boy, it took me down memory lane.
Oh, I'm impressed you have memories from back then.
Yeah, some. And now, dear listeners, it's time for a brief commercial break, just like the ones JP Patches used to take, except for we won't be cutting into a low-budget toy ad featuring a terrifying off-brand puppet. So while you hear from our sponsors, take the time to stretch your legs and contemplate why Seattle made a clown who lived in garbage its unofficial childhood mascot. We'll be right back. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next because things are about to get weirder.
Well, welcome back, listeners. Thank you so much for hanging in for that commercial break. And remember, if you want ad-free episodes along with bonus content and discounts on merch and other fun stuff, consider becoming a patron. No, a Patreon.
A patron of the Patreon.
Patron of the Patreon. Something like that.
Yes.
Imagine doing something nice for us to show your appreciation. We appreciate it very much. This helps us pay our ongoing podcast bills, which surprisingly, there's a lot of bills to pay when you're a podcaster. Go ahead and go to rainydayrabitholes.com/support to find out more. And thank you so much to all of our existing supporters.
Let's jump into the characters now. While JP was the star of the show, true chaotic energy came from his sidekick, Gertrude. A bewigged, yes. I should have brought pictures for you. So
I know. I'm trying to imagine. Oh, hold on. Let me just look it up.
Gertrude was a bewigged, cross-dressing lady played by Bob Newman.
Bob Newman?
Not Newhart. Bob Newman.
Thank you.
I don't know why I knew that was coming.
Yeah, you knew what I was thinking. So interesting. When I when I look up JP Patches, and I'm like, it's doing the predictive text, and it calls it an awards show.
No.
What is that? That is so weird. Okay.
Was there an award show? I don't know.
So he is kind of terrifying looking.
Yes.
Okay. And then is Gertrude this guy with a duct tape hat and a pink wig?
Yes. So that's Bob Newman. That's Gertrude, the character, the cross-dressing clown, really.
Oh my God.
And Newman, he played about 90% of the characters in this show. He played Boris S. Wart, the villain who hated children.
Oh, nice.
Ketchikan, the animal man, a guy who supposedly wrangled wild animals, but mostly just flailed around. Tyke Turkey, a weird, janky-looking puppet that gave me nightmares.
Okay, see, I want to look all these up now.
Yeah. So he
you keep going. I'm going to look things up.
He played all these characters, like talent that required him to do this. It was the budget. It was $7.50 per episode. That's what they paid anyone who appeared on the show, was $7.50. And they only had $7.50. So he had to play all the parts.
That is some low budget stuff, man. Yeah. I'm trying to find pictures of this turkey.
If you go on jppatches.com is a really great website with a lot of pictures and videos and information. Again, historylink.org was another great place to see information and see pictures.
Gertrude. With the lips drawn down to the chin.
Yes, it's bad.
Oh my God, it's so creepy.
I know. Isn't that funny that we all loved it? We literally all loved it. To this day, my generation loves this clown and the show.
I'm going to have to ask Rich if he watched.
Well, it was Seattle.
No, it was Seattle only. That's right. It was local.
Yeah. So this was peak low-budget television, live TV absurdity. The show had constant inside jokes, unscripted moments where you could tell Weeds was barely holding it together, and the occasional technical disaster. And they just rolled with it because, again, live television.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of us just winging it and trying to figure it out. Only you're the main clown and about 11 more of the other 12 characters. It's improv as we go. We start with a script. So if you were a kid in Seattle, meeting JP Patches was basically your make-a-wish moment before it was a thing and minus the terminal illness.
Oh, God.
Children could visit the show's set and be part of the legendary ICU2 TV, an interactive camera that JP claimed he could see kids watching at home. So he could.
Well, that's creepy too.
Yes, he would talk in the TV and let you know that he could see into your living room and he was there with you like you were there with him on live television. This was either magical or terrifying, depending on your level of childhood anxiety. My parents literally had to convince me, and I'm not sure I ever truly believed that he could not see into our living room. I would make sure I wasn't in my jammies. I would brush my hair. I would pick up my toys. They probably should have just let me continue to believe.
Right. So you behave a little better.
Yeah.
It's like Santa Claus.
Keep it all clean, right? One of the sweetest parts of the show was how much JP Patches meant to sick children. Weeds would frequently visit kids in the hospital in full character. He was, I don't know that too many people would have recognized him out of character.
I must set out a drag.
Yeah, he was, well, he wasn't the drag. That was the other, Gertrude was the drag. Yeah, so he got to live, he could be the most recognizable character in the entire city and also be anonymous because he could go out without makeup and do his thing and no one knows him.
Yeah.
Weeds would frequently visit kids in hospitals fully in character just to cheer them up. There are countless stories of him making personal visits to children battling illnesses, giving them a few moments of joy when they needed it the most. And it wasn't just a publicity thing. This was who Weeds was. And he kept doing it long after the show ended.
That's so sweet.
He was JP Patches for probably 2 decades after the show went off the air.
Oh, wow.
And was still doing events and being in character and showing up for people.
I wonder if he was able to continue making a living off of that after the show. If that was like his source of income.
Yeah. Doing he would be paid to come to events and stuff. One story that really sticks out is a woman who approached Weeds at an event and told him that when she was a little girl, she had been in the hospital for months. One day, JP Patches walked into her hospital room, cracked jokes, and made her laugh for the first time in weeks. And decades later, she still remembered it as one of the happiest moments of her childhood. And that's one of the videos you can see on jppatches.com. So it was the interview with her.
And we'll make sure to put a link to jppatches.com in the show notes so you guys can go visit and see those videos. That's so sweet. I love that.
All right, Shay, before we continue to dig down this rabbit hole into Seattle's favorite dump-dwelling clown, let's take a quick break because even JP Patches had to pause for something other than absolute chaos. Back in the day, this would have been a part of the show where JP would stare into the ICU TV and pretend to see the kids watching at home. So in that spirit, I see you, dear listener, probably sitting in traffic, folding laundry, or wondering why you spent an hour learning about a man in clown makeup. And I applaud your choices. Stick around because after this break, we're diving into JP's most infamous side characters, the moments that definitely weren't kid-friendly, and how Seattle turned a guy in suspenders into an actual legend. Don't go anywhere, or Boris S. Wart might steal your snacks.
Who's Boris S. Wart? Is that one of the characters?
Yeah.
Okay.
I talked about him.
Sorry, I can't keep everything in my brain. It's early.
JP Patches finally went off the air in 1981 when Cairo apparently decided that 23 years of dump-based clownery was enough.
Dump-based clownery.
But his impact didn't fade, and the kids who grew up watching him, baby boomers and Gen X, held on to their love of the character well into adulthood. Even after the show ended, Weeds kept appearing as JP for years. He made guest appearances at events, hosted charity gigs, and was basically Seattle's unofficial mascot. In 2008, Seattle even unveiled a JP Patches and Gertrude statue in Fremont, because if there's one thing Seattle will do, it will build a weird statue of a local legend.
I'm not sure Stalin is a local legend, but we do have a statue of Stalin in Fremont as well. Or is it Lenin?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, God.
No, and then that's where the troll is, too.
Yeah, troll's in Fremont. Is it Stalin or Lenin? Oh, it's Lenin. Sorry, it's a Lenin statue. I get those communists confused.
Chris Weeds kept performing as JP Patches until his health declined due to cancer. Even then, he made a few final appearances because, in his words, it's hard to say goodbye to your old friends. He passed away in 2012, but his legacy still lingers in the hearts and slightly traumatized dreams of every Pacific Northwest kid who grew up watching him. So there you have it, Shay, a tale of a man in a clown suit and an entire generation of children raised by a guy who lived in a dump.
Seems fitting.
JP Patches was weird, chaotic, and completely unscripted, which honestly explains a lot about the personalities of Pacific Northwest natives.
Absolutely.
I remember thinking very clearly watching, and I didn't miss. Like every day I knew what time it was on. I wanted to watch it. I didn't care about Sesame Street. I didn't care about the other shows that were on, but I loved watching this show. And I remember distinctly wondering why, because it was so chaotic. It was stupid.
It was just running
chaos.
around a dump doing crazy things.
Slapstick comedy, all this junk in the room, making noises. It was just bizarre stuff. And I remember thinking, I don't even like that kind of thing, but I love this show. And JP Patches just had a way of making you feel good. He wasn't just a TV clown. He was a fixture of Seattle's culture, proof that sometimes the best thing you can give your kids isn't an expensive production or a lesson. It's just fun, and occasionally a little bit of unhinged absurdity, which is exactly how I recall it. Unhinged. And to this day, he is celebrated. You can still get merch.
Oh,
off their website.
Archie McPhee's has a JP Patches doll.
Yes, he's quite popular in ways that you would see more of a nationally known figure. Mm-hmm. He, in the state, you can get a JP Patches license plate.
Can you?
Yes, my friend Susie has one.
Oh, Susie,
she's had it
I
for a few years. I've thought about it, but I didn't.
You feel like it's a waste of money a little bit?
Well, I don't think it matches my car very well.
This nice car with this JP Patches. Why not?
I don't know. If I get the car I want, which is a used SUV, then I'm going to put it back on there.
There you go. Do it.
But he's still very popular. So go to jppatches.com and you can even get shot glasses. Very appropriate, very Gen X.
Did he ever have any scandal or anything like that?
No. In fact, as we finish this episode, wrap it up, I lied to you in that last commercial break. There is no scandal.
Oh, damn it. I was
nothing.
I was waiting for it.
No, he was just truly one of those super good guys. There was no dirt on him.
I was waiting for he got busted with weird porn or something.
Beloved gem of a human.
Aw.
So do you feel more enlightened after this episode? Since you didn't really know him, you're not sharing in my...
You're tripped down memory lane.
Yeah.
Warm, fuzzy nostalgia feeling. Yeah, because I never knew anything about him. I was like, he was like a clown figure that was up here or something. And that's as far as I ever thought about it. So that's really sweet, though. I love that he did all the charity work and went to hospitals. That's really lovely.
And not...
We need more people like that today.
Because it was his job. It was truly who he was.
When people go out of their way to try to help somebody else or make somebody else smile or lighten their load a little bit, I think we need more of that in our world right now, especially.
It feels like this was the Dan Evans era. If you go back to our Dan Evans episode, and also one of those wonderful human beings. It seems like it was we had some good folks all at the same time while I was growing up.
Man, I feel like we could assemble the Pacific Northwest Dream Team of great public figures.
That'd be
have the Blackwells and Dan Evans and JP Patches to just run the government.
Yeah. And they could. You think about it sometimes.
Dan Evans for president, man. I know he's dead.
I'll still take the ghost. I'll take the bones. I will take anything.
Yes. Seriously. Well, thank you, Jody. That was really a fun and heartwarming story. I really appreciate that.
It was. I had a really good time making the story and going down memory lane. I watched lots and lots of videos and again wondered, why did I love this show? Why do I still love this show?
Take you back to little baby Jody sitting on the living room rug.
Yep. I remember being in the apartment in Burien. Was I sweet?
Do you have any pictures of you when you were little?
Yeah.
You got to send me some. We should put some up on the website or on the show notes of little Jody when she would have been watching JP Patches.
Okay. Yes, I have. I
love it. And then I've got some good little kid pictures too. We need to put those.
Oh yeah, that will be fun.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we need? I know that you were always a hot teenager. And didn't have any awkward teenage moments, but I have some fairly good awkward teenage moments.
I had some preteen awkward.
Did you? Mm-hmm. Did you have braces?
Yes.
Okay.
3 times.
Did you do? Oh, and I know that you absolutely did the bangs with the one curl up this way, one curl this way, tease, Aquanet until it's a physical thing on your forehead.
Yeah, there's some pretty horrifying hairdos that we had family pictures done. And so my mom, of course, got giant ones. I'm going to see if she has those.
Yes. I need to see
because I can recall my hair. It was the short on one side, long on the other.
Oh, boy.
And I did I got a perm. So it was super curly.
Oh.
And in order to make it curly, you put all that brunch spray in it while it was wet. So I basically had plastic curly hair on my head.
Oh, yeah. And then back in the 80s and 90s, you never scrunched the cast out. You just left it hard and crunchy.
Yes. No, I don't think we wanted to. I think we liked that hard, shiny.
Yeah. It was absolutely the New Jersey look.
I mean, I was also burning my eyeliner, melting it, and putting it on my waterline.
Oh, yes.
That's horrifying to think of.
I told you that I gave myself a cyst on my forehead because I burnt my forehead with the curling iron. Everybody burnt their forehead with the curling iron. But then all the hairspray ended up causing a cyst that I had to have removed.
Oh my goodness.
And my mom, being a lover to death, a little freak she is, she asked to see the cyst after they removed it. So they gave it to her in a little jar of preservative.
Oh my goodness.
That's my mom.
What was in it? Was it it was just a hard rock by the time they got done? Because I'm picturing
I don't remember.
It would have been more
it was something that was it was in my forehead. It was hard and painful, and they had to cut it open and pull out whatever that thing was in there. It was probably just hairspray and scar tissue.
Oh, Gen X. Oh, Gen X.
Oh, and then the blue eyeshadow. and like bright pink lipstick.
Yes.
And that makes your teeth look yellow.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We were very fancy back then.
And then do you remember the sweatshirts with the little fake collar and then also shoulder pads?
Oh, sure. Yes. Oh, I had shoulder pads. Mm-hmm.
Shoulder pads in sweatshirts, like a pullover gray jersey sweatshirt. And it usually had like a cat on the front or a wolf or Mickey Mouse, because Mickey Mouse everybody had to have the Mickey Mouse sweatshirt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but it had the little collar.
Yep. And yep. I'm picturing it now. I don't know if I had any of those because, they costed money.
Well, I managed
had the cheap stuff.
to thrift one.
Oh, nice.
So that's the only way I was able to have a Mickey Mouse anything. I have to tell you this story about with our homeschool group that was through my church. We did a field trip out to Leavenworth. And, I was 13 or 14 or probably 14 or 15, allowed to wander around the streets of downtown Leavenworth and go to some of the shops. They have all those gift shops with all the T-shirts with the funny sayings on them. Well, I'm 14 and shelters as could be. I have no idea what these things mean. So I buy this T-shirt that says "Eat Mexican" on it, but the M-E of the Mexican is huge and the Mexican is really, really small. And I just thought that was so funny, not knowing at all what it meant. And so we all put our T-shirts on and start walking down the streets. And one of the adults sees what I'm wearing and they're like, "Oh my God, you have to go take that T-shirt back. You cannot wear that T-shirt." I had no idea why. They're like, "What?" "It says eat me." And I'm like, "What is that?" One of the other teenagers had to tell me that it was a sexual thing. I was like, oh God, I was so sheltered.
Thank goodness someone grabbed you though, because you could have been walking around clueless
with this "Eat Me" T-shirt on. Such a dork. Anyways, okay, enough down memory lane. I hope that this episode took you guys down memory lane. This was a nice little unhinged Pacific Northwest moment. So thank you so much. And we really appreciate everybody coming back and listening to us week after week. And if you have a moment, the best way you can support us is by telling somebody else. And I mean, like, text them the podcast or email them a link or something like that. Also, you can go on to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review and a nice little note. That makes us feel really good. And once we've got enough in there, we'll start reading them out on air so we can have your message read out on air. And we will read them all, even if they're bad. Don't leave a bad one. Because if it's a bad one, we're going to make fun of you as a human being. Unless that's what you want.
Do it. We can add more unhinged to the episode.
And if you can't get onto Apple, on Spotify, you can leave a 5-star rating. And there is also an option to leave a comment on a specific episode. So if you want to say something nice, that would be really fantastic. Other people can read those comments, and that's really helpful. Or you can always send us an email if you have suggestions for topics, or maybe something that we mispronounced, or maybe something we got wrong. Maybe there's a correction we need to go back and make, or we just need to know. I was re-editing the Pig Wars episode and confused Christopher Columbus's arrival with the Mayflower.
Oh, no.
So I cut it out so that people wouldn't know how dumb I am.
Oh, that's not enough. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
And with that, we will see you next time. Thank you. Go to rainydayrabbitholes.com. Okay, that's it. Bye.
See you down the rabbit hole.